and welcome to the Gotham Outsiders, our Batman book club. Joining today into the action of a little bit of civil chaos, I'm your host, Bat Obsessive Chris, and joining me on a road trip to take everyone down, it's my co-host, TJ.
Hello, everyone. I am your newly proclaimed Batman Talon.
Yes.
And am I reading sad love letters in the passenger seat?
Yes, you are. You are. You are.
Crying a little bit.
Crying a little tears that are making your red and blue mascara run. Yes, you are. You are.
And who are those letters from?
Those letters are from our very own Poison Ivy, our master gardener who can make anything grow with just a twerk of that juicy, juicy ass. It's obviously our editor, usually behind the scenes, suffering through hours of our mistakes, Nick Oyler.
Hey, I'm in the back of the van reading the letters, and I think I got a mushroom or two on me. I don't know where they came from. We'll figure it out later.
It'll be fine. Yeah, maybe don't eat those, or do, depending if you're Poison Ivy, it might be a good thing for you.
Hey, you never know.
Well, possibly our spores are already infecting another person because we're not alone here today. We have returning guests, the amazing host of Slayerfest 98 and co-host of My Bloody Judy, Ian Crawford.
Hi. Thank you for having me again.
Oh my God, of course. Anytime, any day.
I'm happy to join the whole family today.
Yeah.
Yes.
I know this is Nick's first ever episode and Ian's first book club episode. So
yeah, it's a special day exciting for us all. Yeah. It's a normal day for TJ and I, though. This is normal.
I've only ever done book stuff on I've never done a podcast talking about a book. That's not my podcast. If that makes sense. I was going to say it's my first podcast, but not my first, but like,
yeah,
you know, it's different when you're running it because like you just know exactly what you're gonna say, or it doesn't matter because it's yours.
Right.
Yeah.
Because you were doing X-Men comics on your Patreon, right? Is that
no? So I'm going to be doing the X-Men animated series.
Oh, okay. So what were the books you've been doing?
I've just done like a few random ones. One of my co-hosts, Kirsten White, she wrote 2 Buffy books. So I did like.
I love Kirsten.
She's
oh my God,
the best.
She's become flaunting that out there. You know, Kirsten White.
Kirsten White, who wrote Hyde and Padawan, and I love her writing.
It's funny. My mother is 76 and also loves her. Like my mom is always like, did your friend Kirsten put out a new book? And like always wants to like keep track. So much so that in Kirsten's next book, not only do I have a character named after me again, but so does my mom.
So cute.
It's very cute.
God.
My mom's a vampire and she's very excited.
Well, obviously we're talking about Poison Ivy today.
Yes.
One of my favorite titles from like the last year. Yes. So when we were trying to think of what like Pride Month, stories to cover, we were like, you know what? Ian loves Poison Ivy, so we have to have Ian. And then of course Nick, as we said, Master Gardener over there. Mm-hmm. Nick, why do you think this book was good for you as your first one?
I obviously I love Poison Ivy. She's a plant lady. I consider myself a plant lady. And just reading it, the art was really, really beautiful, and it just caught me. So it was just like a mix of those two things.
Yeah.
Will you give us some good plant tips? What's factual and what's not?
Honestly, what she was saying is all factual. I'm not the mushroom expert, but the things she was saying about plants and stuff, she mentioned like plant native grasses because the soil's so exhausted and all this stuff. It's actually pretty accurate. So whoever was doing the research on that, A+.
I want you to know I'm so used to like reading comics and it's just like they make up words that I was like, I don't know what any of this is, but that's fine. It's probably made up. I just assumed that all the nature talk was like made up for the comics, and that was fine.
I also just don't care, but that's me personally.
If it has to do with the outside, no, thanks.
That's true. Yeah. TJ
Nick is
not
out in the garden.
Of the
have we said Nick is my husband? Have we said that? That's.
I think long-time listeners know, but we should definitely tell new people.
We always mention
that.
Apparently. Yeah. So Nick is my husband. He loves being out in his garden, and I sit inside and record podcasts. So we have tricked him into this today.
Yes.
That sounds like a perfect relationship. The podcast husband and the gardener husband.
Yeah.
I would also be the podcast husband.
Right.
I'm definitely the Harley in our relationship.
You are the Harley. That's a fact.
Yeah, I got a lot going on.
I'm not going to argue with that.
Right? That's accurate. Well, are we ready to play a little game?
I'm nervous I'm gonna fail.
Well, and on the bright side, as with many times, there's not so much a winner and a loser until I randomly declare that TJ lost it.
Well, I'm feeling good because now Nick is kind of our newbie. So I'm like, true. Okay, Nick is the acolyte.
You're officially the acolyte of the episode. So,
and I have graduated to the next tier. So I feel like I might stand a chance.
Stand a chance if only it was a fair world. Anyway,
I know Ian is my competition.
So this game, one of the things that I really like about this comic is that, we find out a little bit about Ivy before the story, where she had this godlike power, which essentially took what was the essence of who she was and made it as big as possible. So my question for you three is, if you were today to be given a godlike power, what would yours be? Based on who you are.
It's got to be books for me, right?
Okay, so how is book like godlike power happening? What do you do?
I feel like in terms of like reading and being knowledgeable about stories and like books and stuff, like I could just pick up a book and like flap through it real quick and be like, oh, I just read that. Or even just touch a book, run my fingers over it and be like, oh, I don't know. And then I just know any story ever. And I don't know. I feel like I've seen this before in like movies where you're like the library entity being. And I feel like that would be me. Where you could be like, hey, what about that story, that book? And you're like, oh yeah, this happens on that page.
Oh, I like it. Okay.
Yeah, that'd be me.
Was it one of you that told me you also used to work at Barnes & Noble like me?
Yeah, that was
I used to work at Books A Million.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
But right, I would think about that a lot because like you would always see books you wanted and it's like, well, I have 30,000 at home that I haven't read.
Yes.
I even just went to my old Barnes & Noble to like buy my mom some books.
Yeah.
And I was like, I haven't time to read a lot. I shouldn't buy myself more books. We're here.
But
Nick also worked at Books A Million, right?
Is that how you two met?
No.
Unrelated.
Same store at one point, but not at the same time.
Oh, weird.
Yeah.
Ships passing.
There's just not a lot to do here, to be fair. It's not and that
now
strange.
It's gone anyway.
And now it's gone anyway. Oh, R.I.P. Books A Million.
What about you, Ian? What would you be?
God, I don't know.
What is your godlike power that's just ready to burst out?
I have an idea for you.
Okay, what's
you'd be like the Buffy god.
But what does that
do?
You
kind of are. I don't know.
Okay,
right? Because what does that do?
What does that
mean?
Just
know everything. That's your only hobby I know of.
I was really hoping you would say it makes me a vampire slayer because I would take that.
Oh, yeah, see, that would be interesting. Do you feel like you have the soul of a vampire slayer in you, Ian?
After all these years and devoting my life to Buffy, I feel like I could say yes.
I like it.
But I always feel like I loved Rogue in the X-Men cartoon. Like I always would want to be like have super strength.
Yeah.
That seems like it would be cool to be like, oh, this car, it's parked in the wrong spot. Put it over here. No big deal.
I love the idea of using super strength for very mundane things. Like I can't get parking in Philly. Like
I'm like, I can't parallel park in the spot. Well, I'll get out of my car, lift it up, and put it down in the spot. Great.
Yeah, Rogue is great.
All right, Nick, what do you got? What's your godlike power?
I don't want to be the copycat.
But
it has to be nature, right?
Yeah, that makes sense for you, actually.
That's my essence. Like I'm literally outside all the time. So
yeah.
I mean
it's a cop out. But we set you up to fail.
It's true.
You set me up to fail.
You were our poison ivy.
You were introduced as Master Gardener. Don't take their bullshit.
Right.
Exactly. I'm here for it.
I have to live with the one if I take bullshit from him.
So now that you have your godlike power, what are you doing with it? Are you going on a crime spree like Ivy? Are you doing good? Or are you just making your own life simpler? What are you doing?
I would definitely be taking out all the invasive plants and putting in native ones. We hate them. They're called invasive for a reason, so why not do that?
I really do want your superhero name to be Master Gardener. I feel like that just
it can be.
It feels good.
MG on the chest. Yeah.
Yeah.
MG.
I imagine a really like fancy, fancy, but also ridiculous utility belt with like seeds and like gardening tools,
shears, and like a watering can.
It would be a tool belt and a pair of denim overalls.
Oh,
that's a cute look.
I like that.
Well, we met the gardener in the flashback. She was the black woman who was.
Yes.
She's Poison Ivy's ex. That was something I was gonna bring up later, but you could be her sidekick, Nick.
True.
Yes. That would be hot.
But I guess she should be the master.
Poison Ivy in real life if she existed.
Right.
Yeah.
100%.
Is this what D&D is like?
Yes.
I feel like we're playing D&D.
We're just setting up the campaign right now.
I'm getting ready.
All right. Well, what are you going to do, TJ? What are you doing with your power?
I feel like, my instinct is to be like, oh, I'm going to have a giant library. I'm thinking like the owl guy in Avatar: The Last Airbender. But like, what's the point of having a library if you know everything? I guess so that you could share the knowledge with people. So that's what I'm thinking. I could maintain it, but share the wealth.
Okay.
Yeah.
I like
do you not keep books after you read them?
He does. He's a big collector.
I read them like on my iPad or from the library, and then if I love it, I go out and buy my own copy for my collection, and it's not allowed to be read because it has to be perfect.
Correction, he buys 10 different covers of the same book.
Yes.
If it's like a series or an author that I love, and I'm like, you know what, I need every cover, every edition.
I watched him look through entire selection of Cassandra Clare first book to find me one he was looking for, and he's like, not this one. It was the same book.
Okay.
Not this
That's
one.
like a hobby. I collect that one.
I fully feel you, because I will tell you, only recently have I stopped doing that, like since I moved back home the last few years.
Yeah.
But like when I went to London with my ex 100 years ago, I remember like I was like, oh, a bookstore, let's just go in. I want to like see what they have. And I was like, wait a minute, they have all these cool different covers. And I bought literally all of my favorite books. I rebought them at this bookstore in London.
Yes.
Oh, cool, different covers, especially back then. Like this was literally like maybe 20 years ago, maybe like 19. You couldn't really order them online. So it was like, I felt like super. And I bought She Who Shall Not Be Named. Unfortunately, bought all the other covers of those books.
And they're done that.
No, I feel that's like one of my favorite parts of traveling. When I went to Norway, like 4 or 5 years ago, we stopped in London just to get a connecting flight. And in the airport, I was like, oh my God, I can get all of the London like English covers.
It is cool,
just
right?
in the airport. Yeah, it's so cool. I feel it.
All right, Ian, what are you doing with your vampire slaying powers?
I would find out. I think I would. So you asked. You started it by asking Nick if he would do a crime spree, and I think I would do a little bit of like a Poison Ivy type, a light
crime spree.
You got a little faith in you.
Yeah, I might go do destruction to student loan places.
Yes. Please do. Could you take out mine while you're at it? Thanks.
Yes. I got. Give me all your like companies. I got it.
Okay, good.
I think I would do stuff like that, where it's like,
I like it.
I'm not hurting anyone, but we're like,
you're hurting capitalism, as you should.
I don't even know that even with those powers I'd be able to get rid of it, but we try.
Yeah, there we go. Yeah, you should all team up. Now it is a D&D campaign, so you meet in a tavern.
It's like the Avengers or the Justice League. Sorry, I forgot what show we were on.
Like way gayer. Chris, Chris, what would
JLQ.
Oh God, what would mine be? Well, so my typical day job is as a therapist, so I feel like I'd be able to have like extreme empathy, where I can both feel people's emotions and then alter them. And obviously I would use it to go on a bit of a crime spree in the same way, because let's take down capitalism. I'll be right there with you. Use your super strength. I'm going to use my empathy. I'll make them stop in their tracks, and then you can pound them into the ground, whatever's necessary.
We're all like, wow, suddenly every Republican is for trans rights. This is so wild.
Right? All of a sudden they're just like, they turn around and there's someone in their house.
They also said Ian doesn't have to pay back any of his loan.
So weird. That was very specific, but yeah.
So we would have a nice light crime spree, just
a little light crime spree. Everyone would be for it. It's fine. It's fine. Florida is our first target.
Yes.
Yeah, we gotta take a trip to Florida.
and I can carry you in a car, and we can not waste money. I'll just put the car on my back. You can sit
Perfect.
there.
I'll pretend to drive, but you're just carrying it. I'm like, woo, woo. I love it. I think we've solved it.
Yeah. I can be your audiobook since I know all the stories.
Oh my God, yes.
Well, you could, if we needed a book to like figure out, because I don't know how to do shit. It's
like,
yeah. We
instead
get you
of
to
like,
look up all the laws and stuff and all the places we're going, so you can figure out how to mess with them. It'll be perfect. We got it.
The how-to for dummies.
Yeah.
Then we have Nick. He's doing his little shaking out all the native plants and stuff along our way. So there's just a trail of like politicians changing their minds and also good gardening.
You would never starve because I would grow the food.
Oh my God, so true.
I love this.
I think we have a perfect little team here.
So great. Since you could grow all our food, our backup plan, if this all doesn't work and we have to go on the run, we can form our own little little,
Right. We got to find an island. We can go full cottagecore, just like Magneto. I know it's the wrong thing, but
oh no,
I was just thinking him.
I know, our cottagecore lesbian Magneto. We love him.
You know what's funny is one of my co-hosts for Slayerfest 98, Ryan Hulan, who I adore, literally just posted something like what you just said on his Instagram like last night. It was like, just so you all know, Magneto was right, and all the queer people need to form their own place to live.
A place to live. Look, I'm just saying, I hated the movie Dark Phoenix, but the one part I loved about it was that he was a little cottagecore lesbian making a garden on his little island, and he was just mad that people drug him back in. I was like, you're right. You're so right. His little gardening clothes. He was so cute in that movie.
I've seen what happens to Genosha.
I know it doesn't go great.
It doesn't go great.
But we can make it work.
They keep trying the same. Like right now, they're on Krakoa, and I'm like, I don't know. I saw how this worked out last time, guys.
I know. I keep waiting for that to implode because they're gonna do it eventually.
Feels like it's gotta, right?
Yeah. I mean, I'm kind of ready for it. But anyway, does this mean we all win?
Yes, you all win, and so does the world. Apparently.
Everyone wins.
Everyone wins.
Yay.
Eat the rich.
Yes. Should we talk about this Eat the Rich kind of novel here?
That was good.
Graphic novel.
Yeah, let's do it. Let's talk about Poison Ivy. What's the subtitle? The Virtuous Cycle? Is that what it is?
Yes, by G. Willow Wilson.
Yeah.
With art by TJ. Do you have the artist? I just realized I didn't.
It's Takara.
Yes.
Is the last name, yeah.
Yes.
And then the issues are sitting next to you.
I have it right here. It's
TJ also does. But
Marcio. It's Marcio, Takara, and Arif Prianto.
Perfect.
I might be saying
that.
It's gorgeous. Can we just start there? This art is so incredible.
It really
stunning.
Is,
Oh my God. It's like every single panel could easily be a poster. I loved it. Oh my God.
Yeah, the art was easily one of my favorite parts. Just the colors and like her hair, it just looks like cotton candy, and I really wanted to eat it. Yeah, that says a lot about me, I guess. That's where my mind went. But yeah, the art's just so good. Like when it switches to other artists briefly in the last two issues, it really pulled me out of it, especially on like this binge read, just because it's such a distinct style, you know.
Yeah, it did the Hannibal thing of making these flesh-eating mushrooms look delicious. I was like, yeah, go ahead, eat me. It seems like it'd be fun.
Well, I guess Ian and Nick, can you tell us what you thought broadly of the story in this book? You can go first, Ian?
Yeah, I definitely enjoyed it. I think I told you both this. I haven't really read a DC in a while, like a DC comic. I've also like fallen out of my like consistent comic reading in the last few years, so I mostly read trades. I was a little surprised that like Poison Ivy's violence in the Harley Quinn cartoon isn't really that exaggerated from like how she is in the comics. I kind of thought it was an exaggeration, but not really.
Turns out.
Yeah. It's kind of par for the course. That was the only thing that like surprised me. The thing I liked that they did, which comics sometimes it like depends on the writer, they were really good at like clearly a ton of shit happened before we got here, but they were really good at like it didn't matter, you know what I mean? If you didn't read that, it was like they had enough passing dialogue where if I didn't know specifically, I didn't have the broad subject of it. And I thought this was a really enjoyable read. I don't know, I kind of like not when, because there's a difference, right? Sometimes it's like they can do this well, or sometimes it feels like someone who hates comics who doesn't want it to be like a superhero thing.
Yeah.
And this didn't feel like that, but it felt different than normal comics. It's mostly just like her, and she's like coming upon these scenarios on her like road trip, or it's like a shitty work environment, a diner where people are being robbed. Like I enjoyed that. I liked that it was like a little bit more toned down.
Yeah, I agree. Nick, what did you think?
Coming off Ian's point, I don't think I've ever read a DC comic that I can remember, and like just not being confused because they knew how to put the kind of past into the story, so I knew what was going on. And it was just really fun to see like a road trip with Poison Ivy, even though it was kind of sad, but I kind of like the road trip aspect of it.
Yeah, I agree. How about you, CJ? This is one of your favorites, right?
Yeah, so I read it month to month. So I think issue 12 just came out. Yeah, I loved it. The first 6 issues I think are really, really, really strong. Like that first arc. I don't know. There's just something, it builds and builds. And Nick told me earlier that the last 2 issues were his favorite. And I agree. I think it just keeps building and building. And then once you really get to the villain and that like going back to her origin, I thought was really just really important and impactful. And as Ian was touching on, I think like all the social issues that it's touching on as she's, moving throughout the country, and just her character development of realizing who she is then, but by the end she wants to be someone a little different. Like there's a line where it's like not everyone is as guilty. Like there's people who are guiltier that she really should be going after. So I just like seeing that change in her character, that growth. And as you guys were saying, like a lot happened right before this book, but it did a great job of explaining it. Like you didn't really feel like you were missing anything because everything important was happening on the page. But the James Tynion run is like my favorite Batman run. And at the end of that run is where you get Queen Ivy.
Yes.
And so check it out. What about you, Chris? What did you think?
I'm obsessed. I hadn't read it yet. I saved it. I mean, obviously I've read it now, but I saved it for the show.
I hope so.
Right. I actually kept reading, so I have several issues into the second arc now because I couldn't stop reading it. But I love this. It really feels like a graphic novel. I know it came out week to week, but it feels like a story, like a very complete, contains, and in a very lovely way, honestly, because we just read Harleen on the show. This reminds me a lot of that, which is kind of fun because it's the 2 of them. Like I could easily see those 2 versions together because it's that same kind of like very contained, but saying so many really interesting, brilliant things. Like I want to talk about 5 billion different things that this brought up and how subtle and genius it was. I love the way she's drawn because Ivy's tough, right? Like she is real sexy, but it not at all sexualized in her art, which is so great, which made it was just really fun. Like she's literally running around in a bra and panties at one point. It's not sexualized. It's just hot as fuck. And I was like really happy about it.
That is the big difference.
Yeah, right. Like it's very subtle how they did it, but it just feels very natural and very real how she's drawn. And I don't know, I was obsessed with it. I love that it's kind of this new genre that's popping up a lot of places with like The Last of Us, it being like basically mushroom horror, right?
Yes.
Sporer, as I'm seeing it's called online.
I did. That's funny that you mentioned that because I was thinking like if this weren't like Poison Ivy, this could be like a horror book.
Yeah. It almost is like it. Yeah, I think it kind of still is, but it's the horror book where you're with the monster the whole time. I don't know. I really loved it.
Yeah,
and she even says that at the end. Remember, to a little kid, doesn't she say like, "I am a monster, but I'm on your side"?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, that was good. Yeah, like the body horror element is what really gets me. Like when you talk about the horror aspect of just seeing, I don't know, just something about the art style or how the artist is conveying it, but just seeing people turn into plants or like blow up with plants, I was like, oh, that was very painful.
Yeah, it was good. But again, it did the Hannibal thing of like, this is gross, but beautiful somehow. And I don't understand, but it is.
Okay, can we circle back around? I know this is at the end, but her literally eating the rich.
Oh, I loved that. And I have it in my notes, all in caps. She ate all of him.
Yes, she
ate
did.
all of him.
She did. She
It
was
made
like,
me
they
think-
say eat the rich, but maybe we should. And I
that
was
whole
like, yeah, what?
page is so good, but like, and Ian, I know you'll appreciate this. Like, I read this month to month, and I remember this scene, but now coming back to it, I'm like, you know what? It's not as gross after watching like Yellow Jackets.
It really isn't.
I'm kind of used to it now.
Just a little light cannibalism. It's fine.
And you know,
Yeah.
I love that her like the interior of like the note that she's writing while she's eating. It's like I've never felt more like calm and as myself, and she's like fucking eating the people.
Yeah.
I was like, I love this.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
Speaking of that note, like that's one of my favorite parts of this book, and I think it stops after issue 6 because you see her send the letter to Harley at the end, and that's like my favorite thing in these 6 issues, or one of them. Like, I'm not a guy who likes a lot of narration, especially in my comics, but like, and I think I said this with Harleen too, Chris, like it didn't pull me out at all. I didn't get bored. Maybe that's just because the character's voice was so strong, or I was just so into her character development, but I thought it was brilliant, and how the Willow, the writer, was using Harley as like the audience that was listening, you know, like we're Harley in a way, but she's writing to Harley. I just thought that was so effective.
Yeah. Well, because if we're talking about who Ivy is as a character, Harley is her heart, right? Like, so we are getting this incredible influence of her empathy by seeing the one person that she would change the world for, right? Like,
I feel like the only person that could get her to stop doing, like the only person she would like rethink something for, right?
Yeah.
I agree with you, TJ, about normally the narration can bother me in comics because I don't know if this is a hot take or not, but since we're talking DC comics, the like whole fucking pirate ship narration in Watchmen, I like clock out so fast.
Oh yeah.
Oh my God.
And I remember so many other nerdos were like, "Oh, they didn't have it in the movie." I was like, "Thank God they didn't have it in the movie."
Yeah, because it was boring.
Yeah, it was boring. And I get it. It's a metaphor for what's happening. I don't need a metaphor. It's like a hat on a hat. I just don't need all that. But yeah, here it was like great and it worked. Yes. I think because it wasn't like every single panel with it. It was like and it was like written so well. It felt like she's talking to someone she loves. Like, even though I didn't think about it while reading it, I kind of just, and then eventually we're like, oh, it is a note to Harley, and that made perfect sense. But even not knowing that, it still was like so well done that it wasn't distracting from the story. It wasn't boring. It was just kind of, it felt like, oh, this is inside her head.
Yeah, I feel like a lot of times it throws me off when I'm reading a comic, especially one where there's a lot of narration, or I guess it doesn't have to have a lot, but there's like, I feel like when something's happening on the page, the action, but then you have the like thought bubble and it's not really tying into what's happening on the page. So then you're kind of like feeling that dissonance of like back and forth, like it pulls you out of it. Whereas with this, even when, you know, she's just writing a letter, like it's tying in so much to the narrative of the book and like the themes of what she's going through that like I never felt like it was, you know, pulling me out of the story.
I agree.
Yeah.
What was your kind of reaction, Nick? Because this is your again first like major.
You were the newbie, the acolyte.
I don't think I can remember reading a comic or even a book where there are pieces of a letter like that, and I kind of liked having that side by side of just seeing the letter she's writing and what's happening in the same panel that's corresponding to the piece of letter that's being written. I kind of really like that, and like you guys were saying, it didn't draw me away. It kind of drew me in because I wanted to know the rest of the letter that she was writing.
Yeah,
and you could really feel her heart in that letter.
Yeah, without this, it would almost be a silent comic, right? Like there's not a lot of dialogue. There's a little, but there's very little, and I think that's what makes the difference. Because some of those times when it's like, again, I love an X-Men comic, but sometimes Chris Claremont is like, here is 12 things of panel, and then they're also talking, and you're like, please, God, kill me. So this was like basically no dialogue, just very little. We get more dialogue when she gets her hallucination of Batman, which again, one of my favorite things. I love it when she just calls him the Batman that lives rent free in my head. I'm like, same though, same. And he's like so snarky and not at all like Batman.
I was just about to say, and I really like that he was kind of shitty.
Yeah, it's just like an asshole.
I know
Poison Ivy's version of Batman.
Yes, 100%. Yeah.
We kind of touched on like how the artist is interpreting Poison Ivy, but I just specifically love like she has a very womanly figure, but she has like a butch quality to her, and it's the jumpsuit. I don't know what or her vibe.
The jumpsuit is something sexy.
Yes, there's something butch about her, and I find it very sexy. Yeah, and then just the thick pink sunglasses, like, and when she first put them on, I was like, oh my god, I kind of want those. They're so hideous that I love it. And I forgot they stuck around like the whole time.
Oh god, it was so good.
I feel like there's a lot to love in this book. Yeah. Is there anything like that we didn't like or we thought could be better? Or Nick, even something that you like struggled with as a newer comic reader?
I honestly kind of really like this, and I'm glad you guys picked this so I could read it.
Forced it upon you.
Yes. It wasn't really something that I struggled to read at all.
Yeah.
Good job.
I know, I was thinking, you're like, what critiques do you have? And I'm like,
see, I don't know. I'm known for liking everything I watch or read. So
that's true. That's true.
That is true. Maybe I should have rethought.
You're just fun.
I'm like, well, I don't. Nick yells at me.
I'm known for complaining, and I didn't think of anything wrong with it either. So
I like to pick something apart. I'm like, all right, how can something be better? Here's my issue. And when we're writing home from the movies, Nick is like, why can't you just enjoy something? And I'm like, I did. I just want to dissect it and
but you're picking apart.
Whatever. So anyway, this is your last podcast.
Exactly. This is his first and last. I'm having fun. Nick keeps complimenting me, so he can come back when he wants. No, but truly, TJ, like, what did you find? Because you are the one who picks. So what did you see?
What did I find in this one?
Yeah.
Again, I just love it so much. I don't know if there is anything in this one.
Ian, how about you? Is it perfect?
Is it perfect? I guess the art switching.
Sure.
There were a little bit of like slow moments, but I mean nothing really like wild, but there was, I feel like somewhere in the middle, I couldn't specify, but there was a couple moments when I was like, all right, come on. Like,
fair.
And I do usually, and like, this is barely a critique because it didn't really bother me, but I would have liked, like the woman that she hooks up with, I would have liked her to be in it just a little bit more, or like the woman whose garden she like makes thrive, like just a little bit more of like those type people. But it didn't really hurt the story for me. I just would have liked more of like these characters.
Yeah, that's fair. Yeah, it's tough, right? Because like I feel like a lot of our show is like us discussing our critiques and whatever, and now I'm sitting here going, let's just talk about what we loved. But truly, I think, you know, I could dig deeply into some of these themes easily. I loved them. Like they managed to touch on and kind of like cram in a lot without ever being preachy, I felt. Which is hard. Like that's a hard line to walk, because we've definitely I think maybe you have too, TJ, read things about climate disaster or whatever. It comes up a lot in comics, and it's often like a little heavy-handed. Or a lot heavy-handed in some cases. I'm like flashing through my brain some ones that I was like, okay.
I liked her line. That kind of goes with what you're saying. She says, when the heroes won't act, it's the villains who must save us.
Oh my god.
Yeah, that was good.
That really touching. Like that, I have that saved because it was like stood out.
It was deep.
She says then, she's like, the time for the heroes are over. We will need now assassins, saboteurs, revolutionaries, people that are not afraid to defend what is left of the earth. With violence when necessary, justice is not coming, but retribution may still be within reach. Like, oh my god. I know, right?
There's a reason this won the best continuing comic book award.
GLAAD award.
GLAAD,
Yay.
Well deserved.
And excuse me.
You're fine.
Gee, I realize I'm about to say something, but I don't know. Is G. Willow Wilson, does she identify as straight or queer?
Do we know? I don't know if we know.
I don't know if we know either. I don't think she is out if she is some sort of queer.
because I don't
But
want
this
to
reads so genuine that
I was gonna say, like, if this is written by, because what you were talking about, like sometimes like even just like climate change can be heavy-handed. Sometimes even the most well-meaning straight person can write a queer story that isn't like bad, but it's just like, all right, like this is not how like queer people aren't constantly just talking about like queerness. Like we can talk about other shit. And this didn't feel like that at all. Like this felt very much like this queer woman going on like a journey of self-discovery, but not in a sexuality way, you know, like herself kind
that's
of
such
way.
a good point.
I like that.
Yeah,
I was hesitant of picking this series up at first because while I enjoy Poison Ivy, I was like, a whole 12 issues where she's by herself though. So like I feel like G. Willow Wilson really kept in mind, and maybe this was an editorial thing where, you know, Harley is kind of the second half to Ivy at the moment. So I just love that there's emphasis on the relationship even when they're apart, and just how it's driving the plot. And like, I don't know, it's just I don't think they've ever been written, in my opinion. I haven't read something that I like as much as how they're depicted in this story, because they're complicated, but you can see how much they love each other. Like, they're just very well-rounded.
No, I agree.
I need to ask you a spoiler question.
Sure.
They do get back together, right?
Well, at the end, of course, Harley hops in her car or something, and she's like, I'm coming, baby.
Right.
So I think issue 9, there's a very nice reunion issue. And it's very clear, like, by the end, Ivy will go home to Harley.
Because I also liked that. I thought it was done well with like Ivy was like not going back to her, but she still was like very vocal about, no, but I love you. Like, and how the end of the note even I think says something like, and I will always love you or something like that. And I was like, wait, this is really sweet. Like I do like that she is kind of trying to discover herself. I don't know that I can really specifically tell you what it was, but like I think it was maybe like what you all were talking about, had the conclusion of the world needs villains. Villains are going to save us.
Yeah.
Like her kind of trying to figure that out, because at the start I'm not going to lie, there was like a second where I was like, is she going to keep killing innocent families at diners? Because I don't know that I will like her that much if she keeps doing it.
Right. The line you're referencing, by the way, because it's one of my favorites, is I love you and only you until the end of the world, no matter what, is how the letter ends. Oh, good.
No, there's something beautiful of her needing to go off on her own and figure her shit out. You know, she just really wants to murder people. She needs to sort this out.
But like I think it's interesting, right? Because it's not, she doesn't just really want to murder people. It's really no, but I mean, I think that's what makes it so interesting, is how torn she is about it. And she, in a way, she feels like she's being merciful because she's sparing them from the world ending. You know, she has this one point where she has a vision of everything on fire, and she's like, this is what would happen if I didn't kill them, and kind of, you know, so in her head she's like twisted herself around into believing that she is not committing murder. But by the end she realizes that she had let her rage just become so big that it didn't care about its victims, which hopefully most of us are not doing in a murder way, but a lot of us probably have gotten to that place, especially with the world the way it is right now, where it's a little bit hard to see the, you know, the forest through the trees. We're just angry and just want to burn it down and not able to see like solutions anymore. And I think that was an interesting progression for her.
I promise this will relate. Have any of you watched the show From?
No.
It's like a new horror show that I have become obsessed with.
Okay.
And it's halfway through the second season. But so it's like all these people stuck in a town, and it's kind of like weird, spooky, supernatural shit keeps happening. And there's an episode, there's like a really heartbreaking episode that, am I allowed to spoil a thing?
Sure, go for it.
Sure.
That, like,
skip ahead if you need to, listeners.
Yeah. So the main guy is Harold Perrineau from Lost and Oz. And it's like, you haven't seen his wife. You know she's buried there. You haven't seen her. You don't know what happened. And like towards the end of the first season, you get like this really heartbreaking flashback of his wife has just like lost it. She can't take being in this town. You can't get out of that anymore. And she basically has a mental breakdown and is like, wait a minute, we're all dreaming. I need to wake everyone up. And she starts killing people because she's like, no, I want to save everyone. If we all wake up, we'll be out of this nightmare.
Right.
And it's like really upsetting because she's just killing everyone in town. And she's like an ex-Marine. And he like stumbles upon her killing people. And he's like, you have to stop. And she's like, no, I'm helping everyone. I want everyone to get out of here. And then their son comes around the corner and she's about to kill their son and he has to kill her. And it's like really sad, but it like reminded me of that because she genuinely just had like a break, right? And she thought, oh, this is how I save everyone.
Yeah.
And it's like, I don't know, putting that in context, like, of course, the murder isn't okay, but you know what I mean? It makes it
right.
Like,
Obviously, we're not pro-murder,
right.
but no, I'm kidding.
But well, there is a line in this book, right, where someone tells her like it was kind of her excuse because she's filled with so much rage.
Yeah, that's her ex. Her ex,
right.
the gardener is like, come on.
Yes.
Come on.
Yes. She's a great character.
I think it's interesting because with that through line, she starts the story by saying, like in her letter to Harley, she says, this is not a story of anger. This is a story of love. And what she's saying at that point in her letter is like, I love the earth, so I'm going to kill everyone. Then by the end, she realizes that she loves specific people enough that she can't do that. And she has this really interesting part about how individuals weave in and out of their relationship with the world in a way that could be very symbiotic if they could just kill the parasite, aka capitalism and shitty men.
Those are the root of all the problems.
I know. Right?
I did love how shitty men kept coming back throughout the book. That was the true villain.
It was very gratifying when she got the guy that was sexually harassing the woman.
Yes.
Wait, so God, and now I'll read something a week ago and I'm like, wait a minute. Was that a flashback? And that was her ex, you're saying? The woman that she sleeps with in the factory?
Oh no. So she had multiple exes in this, or I guess she had a one night stand. There's just a line of women behind
I get it
for her. We love that for her. But no, the part where the gardener is the one who's in that like yellow suit, she's gorgeous black woman.
Right.
Yeah.
That's a flashback. That happens, but then the one in the factory was, I don't know if we don't get a name for her. That's just a one night stand she had, which was very hot.
Also very hot black woman, coincidentally.
I did find myself, I was like, how much did she write about that to Harley? Was she like you know what I mean? I was like,
I know, right?
She's like, would you believe me if I said I was thinking of you the entire time?
I love that she was envisioning Harley watching and then like encouraging it. I was like, all right, you guys, get freaky. I love it. Harley was just like, yeah.
Nick, if I ask you right now, what was your favorite part of the book?
Oh, okay.
What would you say?
Were you prepared for that segue to be worse, Ian?
Will you marry me?
No, he's like, so if we did have somebody to watch in the bedroom, would you be good?
No. No, I was trying to think of a way to say put you on the spot, and I wasn't.
Well, you did it in a way that confused Ian and I in the same way, which is fascinating.
I mean, if either one of you want to come on over.
I've got things to do, actually. It turns out I gotta go milk my snakes and
I don't know. Ian might be freaky. I'm looking at his scream mask in the background. Bring that over. Mask?
Please don't.
Yeah, put that on. Nick, what was your favorite part of the book?
The actual question.
Yeah, like a scene or a line.
Yeah, so I did really like the scene where she's helping the motel I wouldn't say owner, but employee work on that garden. I really liked it because at the end she stays overnight and she's like, don't touch me, because over the first 6 issues, she's realizing the little mundane lives that people have that are just so special. And then the lady comes out at the end and sees this garden flourish and she just has this look on her face. I think that's my favorite part by far. It's just seeing like that whole scene.
That whole scene had such you vibes.
Yeah, I know. I thought about you the whole time. I was like, that's our Nick right there.
Yeah, cleaning up all the rubble and then planning stuff. Yeah, that was probably my favorite.
Yeah.
Nick said something while he was reading these and I was sitting in the room. And, I mean, this isn't a plot thing, but I'm sitting there and Nick goes, I forget what you said exactly, but it was like, she said she has the name Pam on her jacket. And I was like, that's because her name's Pamela. And he was like, oh.
I know. Hey, don't do that to me.
To be fair, the show Gotham changed her name to Ivy. So.
Oh, that's right. Yeah. I forgot they called her Ivy and that. I was
it's
like,
not just you.
Oh, it was.
But it was funny.
That was her real name in that.
Yeah.
Ivy
Gotham's
was her real
journey.
name.
I do enjoy Gotham, but it's weird.
And in that scene, I just want to point out that the gardener's mug said Montana is for lovers, and I kind of love that. Just saying.
Yeah, 100%. Oh, I love the gardener.
I feel like we keep bringing up X-Men, so I'm gonna bring up in my notes. I have that like Poison Ivy is kind of the anti-Jean Grey because she rather would have died a goddess than live as a human.
You're so right.
Whereas Jean Grey did the opposite.
You're so right. She's like, well, I want all the power. Actually, I do a
she's
better
like,
job.
What if I wanted to die?
She's right.
Yeah. I mean, I just love that this conflict because you're like, I see where Ivy's coming from. Like this was her decision, even though she was not in the state of mind to make that decision at the time. Yeah. But it's like her reflection is like just so devastating. But then Harley didn't want to lose her, and it's just so good.
It is. What was your favorite moment, Ian?
Yeah. No pressure.
I think it's God, I don't know. I feel like I have like 4 different ones.
I know, right?
Please go through them.
No, I think it might be I feel like this is cheesy, but like when she does talk to the little kid at the end and she's
so good.
Like, I did really like that moment. Yeah.
I agree.
Yeah.
How about you, TJ? What's your favorite?
My favorite moment? I don't know. Can I tell you something completely different that I'm looking at in my notes? Sure. I'll circle back around to that.
Okay.
I found it interesting. I don't know if they mentioned it in this book or if it was implied, but I was doing like research on the DC Wikipedia, and apparently Ivy had a sexual relationship with her mentor, Dr. Dude.
They did talk about it in this.
All right, couldn't remember. But I find it interesting that she and Harley both have that same experience. That we just read Harleen, and yeah. So like,
no, but true. Okay, so if we're gonna talk about the things I liked the most, obviously I like any horror story where grad school is the villain. Relate too hard, but no. I mean, you talked about how there's the through line of like shitty, powerful men, right? Because there's the ones that try to assault her when she's on the road. There's the ones that the boss that was assaulting the woman at the factory, and then ultimately there's her demon, right? The man who, as far as we know, like it's not implied that he actually raped her, but the narrative she's telling is a rape narrative. Like he had control of my body. He, did all of this. So I know we talk on the show a lot about how I'm so over every single story having a rape narrative, but if it's gonna do it, it's actually great that it did it this way. Like it used her superpower as that narrative. It was a metaphor rather than just being like gross in the way that like Frank Miller is constantly doing, like this was like, it felt very real and very powerful that she gets to have her like good for her revenge where she literally eats the man who victimized her. And like he symbolizes her personal demon and the world's demon of him being like money greedy and corporate and awful and abusive. So he's both things perfectly encapsulating the story, and she gets to eat his heart. Like what girl doesn't want that? Like
no, that is one of the best parts in the book, and just that page is beautiful. What's happening is shocking, and then the dialogue just ties it all together. She says something like, we always say we should eat the rich. I'm just saying we should give it a try.
Like maybe we just, what if we did?
Yeah, like I don't know, that whole the part was great. A good payoff too.
It was really good. I'm glad he's dead. That was one of those moments I was like, kill him, do it.
Do you guys know is that character like a recent like retro like put into her backstory? As her that
he's
always
been there.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, having just looked at his Wikipedia page.
Yes, hit us with the wiki facts.
I mean, DC, resets every so often, and he had a section for like the last 3 continuities. So I'm guessing he's been around. Yeah. And supposedly he like trained Swamp Thing, and
what's interesting too, because he even has a version in the Schumacher films. There's even he's not called that, but she has the sexually harassing boss that she becomes Ivy because of in that too. So obviously, right? Like she gets to kill him in that too. It was great. Loved it. A plus. Uma.
I used to, so because I haven't read a DC comic, I don't think since I've started watching Harley Quinn.
Fair.
This was my first time reading it and hearing Lake Bell's voice. instead of
yes. I didn't even think about that. Yeah.
So I did the whole time. I was like, yeah, that's my girl.
Right? Like her voice fits perfect. Like she should narrate this, right? If this was
she should.
Narration.
With the little green word bubbles. I loved it.
Yeah. Nick caught an Easter egg for the Harley Quinn show that he was very excited about.
What?
Yeah. What? In the first issue, Harley has Frank on her t-shirt. In the first issue. Yeah, I think when it first flashes back and she's
literally
crying,
getting
I believe. Yeah, you're gonna have to go look.
I'm
And
obsessed.
this isn't part of the flashback, but when Poison Ivy's driving the van, it does have a live, laugh, love pillow in the passenger seat.
I'm obsessed with that.
I just thought it was really funny. I was like, oh.
I love that her little van has like a unicorn Pegasus
Yeah.
with Star Wars painted on it. It's so good.
She does have Frank on her.
There's the Frank shirt.
That's
I love that.
Good.
He's slowly been cameoing. He's got to be a real character soon in the comics.
I mean, he should be, right?
It's got to happen, right? And like on that note of the Harley Quinn show, like I feel like I don't know if it's I guess it's been on purpose, but maybe not in response to the Harley Quinn show or vice versa. The fact that like Harley is kind of becoming a part of the Bat family, or at least like the awkward cousin. Poison Ivy and her are together. Ivy is kind of a villain still. So like they're in this awkward kind of transition phase where it's like Harley's kind of good.
It's a little weird.
Right. And we kind of have that at the end of this arc, I think, where they talk about in the letter where she's like, I'm not asking you to help me because I know you have your morals right now and you are with them. And it just made me think about how the TV show is also touching on that in the most recent episodes and going forward. And it's just kind of, and again, I guess it could be on purpose, but the fact that they're in the same exact spot is interesting to me.
I love it. Can we talk about how this, I was flipping through my screenshots. I love how issue 6 just has the tagline of "Mommy's very angry."
She is mommy.
She is mommy.
100%. Yeah.
100% she is mommy.
I will say, I just wanted to plug, Tom Taylor came out with a new issue recently. It's One Bad Day, Ra's al Ghul. It's like just a story about him. It's all about him trying to solve environmental problems.
I would say they should team up, but she'd probably kill him for annoying her.
It's real good. I think all three of you would love that issue, and it kind of takes this theme and what if Ra's?
He wrote one of my favorite recent X-Men arcs, his X-Men Red arc, where they brought Jean Grey back.
That is an amazing.
Yeah, because I will say this era of X-Men, I've been a little bit like, there's like so much going on. But that was such a good, like, yes, it's in this world of where all that shit's going on, but we're a little more self-contained. And my hot take is I don't always love Jean Grey, but this was my like genuine favorite version of her. She wasn't like a victim. She wasn't dying. She wasn't like, oh, I don't know what to do.
And her outfit was actually good. I know the colors were a little weird.
Mad they got rid of that outfit after that run because it's so good.
Yeah. And like they brought it back for a one shot and they changed the colors to green and yellow. And I was like, okay, now it's perfect. And like it just is gone though.
Stupid mini dress, and I'm like, come on.
Yeah.
Sorry, I just distracted us to X-Men again.
No, I know. I love X-Men.
I'm gonna have to read that because I do not like Jean Grey, so I would be curious to read one that I liked.
Yeah, it's good.
It's funny because I feel like so many, especially like queer folks, love Scarlet Witch and Jean Grey, and in the comics, I didn't love. Not to be like that person, but like they're very like overpowered woman. We don't know what to do, so she has to die. And,
constantly killing.
She's crazy. She's evil.
Yeah,
she's like, hysterical. You mean like in the movie where she was so hysterical because she can't have a baby that she becomes the villain and kills everybody? Are you like, for example, in that fucking horrible movie?
Oh my god, that's the most angry people have ever been at my podcast because I fucking hated that movie, and I hate it never shut up about how much I hate it.
I mean, like,
Ian, I'm with you. I hate
so off topic. Like, there's things in that movie that I really like, and then
understand that.
But I could understand like if that aspect ruins the movie for you, I get it. I get it.
It does.
I just was so excited because I loved WandaVision so much.
Yeah.
They took such care with her character in WandaVision. She was nuanced.
It's almost like the creators hadn't actually watched WandaVision. Oh wait, they didn't. They
No way.
didn't watch
I have felt very validated the fact that she's been doing press tours being like, "Ooh, they did not listen to me. They did not watch WandaVision."
Yeah, exactly. That movie fucking sucks.
Because I bet that sucked for her too, because she really liked Wanda and she liked WandaVision and
yeah, but gotta be baby crazy, am I right?
The woman needs a baby, otherwise what's she gonna do with her
like
life?
Black Widow, she's upset because she can't have babies, Wanda. It's just an MCU trope. They gotta be baby crazy because they would.
You gotta read Poison Ivy, where you have a red-haired queen.
Yeah, TJ's like, please shut up. I beg of you.
I'm just like, how can I steer this back? But
how can I
could talk about this all day. No, I love MCU.
He has had to listen to me talk about this all day many times, and he's done.
I promise this is the last thing I'll say about it. I promise.
No, don't be the last thing. I'm so validated right now in this moment.
Chris, I feel like you will understand. Someone's so nice, but like they tweeted the worst take, and it was like a queer person too, and they were like, anyone who watched Multiverse of Madness and is mad clearly didn't actually understand WandaVision. And I was like,
I
you
disagree
didn't
with
understand WandaVision. What the fuck are you talking about? Like,
no,
I
mean,
like,
I felt like there was a whole movie missing between WandaVision and.
Yeah, I'm not even opposed to her going evil.
Yeah.
I'm opposed to it
was lazy.
It didn't happen. It did just zapped into evil. Okay, I'm good.
But anyway,
the plot device book.
The plot device book.
You're fine.
Poison Ivy would never. Ending. She gets to be evil because she wants to be with her full knowledge and power, as she should. Because again, on this podcast, we support women's rights, but we also support their wrongs.
I love Harley. Like, she's like, "Oh, I'm gonna come after you," and it just made me think of that meme. Is it Super Nanny, where she's like, "Sounds like y'all are in a crisis. I'm on my way."
Like, shuts her laptop and puts her finger up. Yeah.
Yes, 1,000%.
It's Harley. Nanny Harley.
Oh my God,
ride
Nick,
or die.
I forgot you're the editor. Were you listening to me and Chris and like, oh fuck, I have to edit this all out?
I zoned out because I'm gonna have to re-listen to it.
No.
He's like,
It's
oh
okay.
God. How many minutes of that do I leave in? How many do I just
we were a Batman podcast, but we're talking about Wanda?
Hey.
You're like, I don't know much about Marvel versus DC, but I could swear she isn't in this universe.
It was comic book related.
Okay.
Yeah. Well, are there any parts of this book that we haven't talked about yet?
I meant to say this earlier and I forgot to. This is our one of our mini Pride specials. And I have to mention every single June, like without fail, the discourse begins. So tired about what Pride is and what it isn't. And, the respectability politics shit starts happening. Right. And I think that this comic has a lot to say about that, specifically at the end where she's talking about like the time for peaceful and relaxed and chill is gone. And I feel like if we put that in conversation with the Pride was a riot, it was, violence was a part of it. And the only reason we got here was because of violence. I think that was what I was thinking about when I read it.
Are you telling me Pride is not a party?
Look, Damian Wayne, if you take out those protesters, I will come for you. I'm
sorry. This was,
a
last year's
callback.
Pride issue. Had a misstep where
bit of a misstep where Damian Wayne didn't understand that Pride was a riot.
Someone's gonna appreciate that joke.
Someone is, and other people are like, "Oh my God, why did you make me remember that?"
No, I think that's really interesting, Chris.
Thank you.
Yeah, and I
thought you were going to say more, and then you didn't.
Nope.
I also think, like, we're talking about Pride. I do think, like, and coming out stories are important, right? That's the part that I always like to preface with, because I know some people kind of do like look down on them, and there's nothing wrong with coming out stories, but I love more queer stories that's not the like not revolving around, the story. Like, that has nothing to do. Like, she hooks up with someone. It's not like, ooh, are you? Oh my god! And there's not like it's just like, this girl wants to hook up with her. They're both hot. Like,
as they should.
Right.
And I think for so long we only were getting coming out stories that we kind of got tired of them. But I think some people are just like, why do we need those anymore? And it's like, no, we're always going to need coming out stories, because there's always going to be people needing that story at a different state of coming out than you are. But you're totally right. We need stories of all different types.
It's also nice to have a story in which Ivy fucks and murders her way across the US.
It is. It really is. Give me more like nuanced queer character. Give me more queer villains.
Ooh, yes. Yes. Every villain in Gotham is bisexual or lesbian. All of them. They're all gay.
Can you imagine this story? But throughout the whole thing, she's like, I don't know, I just might be a little gay. I don't know. And then at the end she comes, I just can't.
That would sound like a vomit inducing story.
Ivy's too like confident. I feel like in this, like, she's like kind of figuring shit out, but she's like too confident to be like, I don't know. Like, I feel like the moment, even if she had been like thinking she was straight her entire life, the moment she was like, oh, I want to fuck her, she'd be like, oh yeah, I'm queer, whatever. I'm like,
I feel like Ivy is the person that's like, of course I'm queer. Let me describe to you why plants are gay.
She did say in one of the issues that she does not care what other people think of her.
Yes, you're so right.
And she doesn't.
Yeah. I mean, I was totally kidding, but like,
no,
I don't think this story could, in the way that it is, I don't think it could work with a character who is, I mean, I guess Ivy is unsure of herself right now, but I feel like someone who's like coming out is like someone
unsure if she should kill the entire world.
Right.
But a slightly different thing.
I feel like she was at like right before the story, she was on the top of the world. She had everything figured out. She had everything. And then she kind of lost everything. So like, to me, I read that as like, no, like she had herself figured out and now she's having an identity crisis to a degree.
Right.
But,
you're so right. Yeah.
I don't know. Trying to make that sound smart.
No, it did sound smart. It is. Well, because I think it's interesting to watch a queer person have an identity crisis that isn't about being queer, right?
Yes.
I think that's kind of cool.
Yeah.
Yeah. So one part in her life she's not confused by.
Anything else? I feel like, again, we picked books that were just so good. We picked one book this month that we had a lot to roast, and then our other ones are like, there's nothing to roast. It's so good.
I know, we're sitting there like, it's so good. What do you say when something is this brilliant?
It's nice to have a love fest.
It is.
Yeah.
It is nice.
Any scenes to any of you that we didn't touch on that really stood out to you?
I want more buddy cop adventures of her and her hallucination of Batman. That was
yes.
You stole what I was gonna say at the end, Chris.
I loved it. I know it was spore abuse, but
yeah, I loved it.
Yeah, that was really fun.
Yeah, there's a one bit when he's like, I forget what he says about like, oh, duck, it's coming, he's gonna punch you in the head or something. And she moves, and she's like, you could be more helpful, and he's like, I'm not even real.
Yeah, like, what do you expect me to do?
Yeah,
a self-aware hallucination.
Love to see it. Would love to see it. Yeah, no, I got nothing left. Anyone else?
I'm sorry, I'm just looking through my notes. There's a couple little quotes like and like the first or second issue, people keep asking her like, what's your deal? And she's like, I'm into landscaping.
I love it.
That was funny.
So good.
And Nick pointed out to me the line, cops always getting in the damn way.
Yes, a cab.
Yeah, we love a queen who does that. Get them out.
We do. Get them right on out of here. Yeah.
But besides that, what would you all rate this book out of 1 to 5 batarangs? And you can break one in half if you need to.
5 whole batarangs. It could again, it's one of those where I'm making new batarangs to add additional batarangs to it because it deserves it.
Throwing down the gauntlet.
Yeah. 5. This is right there with Harleen for me. Like, it's an instant favorite. I love it.
Yeah. What about you, Nick?
Definitely 5. I think it was a good, I don't think I've read like a Batman or DC comic, so 5. Yeah. It was a good intro.
And how was it on plant accuracy? 5 out of 5?
5 poison ivy leaves out of 5. I'm itching all over for these.
We are just all itchy for poison ivy.
It was highly accurate. I was very surprised.
Yeah.
He doesn't know anything about mushrooms, though.
That's fair. I mean, who among us? It sounded right to me.
Yeah.
I did look up the mushroom, and it's a real mushroom. It does what it's doing in the comic just for insects. But yeah, it's a real strain of fungus.
Cool. Is it also hallucinogenic? Like, could I hang out with Batman if I took it?
Do you want to try it? No.
I
don't have access to cordyceps, unfortunately.
That live recording of us trying mushrooms to see if we can beat Batman.
And did it make you want to read more comics, Nick?
I would probably read. I would like to read more about Poison Ivy and Harley. Yeah. I'm more into Poison Ivy and Harley than I am Batman. Okay. Sorry, Batman.
That's fine. He would get it. He would understand.
At least the hallucinogenic Batman would.
Yeah, hallucinogenic Batman gets it. Ian, how about you?
Wait, what was the question?
It was how do you rate it? The question was, do you want to take hallucinogenic mushrooms with us? Obviously.
I was like, we're talking about. The thing I was going to say is high recordings sound like a good idea, but I end up not talking when I do high recordings. I'm always like, God damn it, I need to talk more, but I don't want to. Like
that makes a lot of sense.
We have a friend who pulls out the bong and made a recording, and it cracks me up.
It's like I can have a little bit, but yeah, Zach and I did a few high recordings for Slayerfest 98's Patreon, where he's a co-host, not the host, and he had to do all the host stuff. So I was just like, what am I supposed to say, Zach? And he was like, this is your podcast.
Who am I?
I think, God, I'm gonna be the harshest grader, but four better.
Okay. That's still not bad. That's still good.
Only because just like I think and again, it's just like a minor, like the slow parts. Like I think my baby brain with like my gay DD, like I just needed a little bit more characters, but it was so well written and so well done. And
I love it. Yeah, that's fair.
Yeah, because if I had one complaint, it would be that like it's very quiet and slow to a point. I didn't mind it, but I could totally see that criticism.
It feels like a cozy, right? Like it feels like cozy horror, because it honestly reminded me, if you want another thing like this, but a book, What Moves the Dead by T. Kingfisher is also a mushroom horror that's cozy, and it reminded me of that a lot. But it is like, those are slower stories, right? But intentionally so. They're supposed to be soothing, which can be very hard. You know, I get it. I have ADHD. I just happen to be in a good headspace this time. Other times, not, I would have zoned out, so I get it.
Yeah, this one is almost like I guess like Harleen, it's kind of like a character study. Yeah. So like I kind of expect it to be a little slower because we're lingering in her thoughts a bit more. So it worked for me. And again, I read it month to month. I loved it. And just reading it this time straight through, I would give it 5 too, I think.
Yeah.
Like
I love
it. I will say second arc, I don't think it's as strong.
Really? I'm liking it so far, I will say, because I mean, second arc is about her going and like targeting specific corporations. So I'm actually kind of enjoying that. Maybe just because that's very satisfying to me. I'm like, yeah, get Elon Musk, get him.
So sexy.
But it did so well that it's an ongoing now. So we will have
DJ,
more.
why aren't you out targeting corporations? I find that so sexy.
Sorry.
Sexy.
Nick, you're the gardener. Time. You're the one that's supposed to be doing it.
I was gonna say, actually, get that twerking ass out there.
Hey, I am outside too much to be going around doing corporations and fending them off.
I love how we're just like, yeah, Nick has a big butt.
It's my only good asset. I grew it myself.
It's your asset.
It was the first thing you grew.
I grew it myself.
Well, exquisite garden that is your body.
Garden of Eden.
That's what he calls himself. His body. Yeah. Okay.
Oh, I forgot one. You mentioned body and Garden of Eden. It made me think about, in this book, she gets in the shower and starts shaving, and I was like, where do you think she's shaving? All the fungus starts falling off.
Oh my god.
It is all the places, I bet you.
I was like, my mind went to bush.
It's just, her bush is just fungi.
Yeah, I mean, you see her get the razor, and then we're up close on her face, and she's not like orgasmic, but she's like, ugh. And I'm like, girl, where's that razor?
TJ, that's not how that feels. I don't
know.
It's not.
I don't know.
She's
do.
swapping off
She just looked, she was a little in pain. I was like, where's that razor? What are you doing?
because the mushrooms are attached to her skin.
Yes, but what if they are above her vagina? And that is where she is shaving. Okay, anyway.
Oh my goodness.
I just had to throw
TJ
that
is like,
out there.
what if her lady garden is fungi?
Yes.
What if mushrooms?
I'm just saying.
My happy trail, but it's fungus.
Yeah.
You know.
Okay.
Anyway, on that note, I have to ask Nick, Ian, you've had all show to prepare yourselves. If you were to write a Gotham Batman, like greater world related story, it can be anything you want. TJ and I are holding editorial behind the door and they cannot get in. So you get to go crazy. What are you writing?
Yeah. Or just one you would like to see. Like if you were the viewer, what's your ideal?
And me being a copycat, I want to see more road trip with like
I love that.
Even just Harley and Poison Ivy and kind of like Batman trying to figure out where they are and they're doing like little crimes here and there. Because I liked in this story that Poison Ivy was going to the different places because that's what I like. When I like read books or watch a movie, I like those little mundane scenes. I want to see more of that. But I want to see Batman trying to chase them down while they're having fun on this road trip and like doing little crimes. Yeah, doing little crime sprees.
He's like behind them and he's like, what are they doing? And what they're doing is like seeing the world's biggest ball of yarn.
Yeah, they're like, I know they're up to no good, but they just saw the largest ball of yarn.
It's like, why don't this be part of the scheme?
Just with little binoculars like 10 miles behind.
I think I know of at least one book with that plot, so I'll put your name on it and you can talk about it with us now.
Send it over.
Yeah.
I don't know what you're talking about. Can you tell me?
Okay, yeah, it's the spin-off of the Harley Quinn TV show, the Eat, Kill, Bang tour,
that is
whatever.
what that's about. You're so
Yeah.
right.
Someone stole my idea. Well, I'm never original anyway.
No.
I
mean,
like it.
You can do it again. You can write it in the main continuity.
It's a classic, so.
Yeah.
Well, good.
What about you, Ian?
I think I would do like Nightwing as a himbo.
Yes.
But he would be the bisexual he should be.
Yes.
And not to like make it sound like erotica, but also he would hook up with McNighter and Apollo because like
has he not?
Because like there's that panel where Midnighter's like, I recognize that ass.
Right.
Them working together. And I really like the Midnighter Steve Orlando run.
Yes.
I think that might have been the last DC comic I actually read, was like that like collection. And I really liked him and Nightwing's relationship. And I do feel like Nightwing he might be like the person that says like, oh, I'm straight, but then like will fool around.
That's so him.
Right. Like, and I just felt like him and Midnighter had such good chemistry that I was like, I want them to hook up, but I wanted to like be okay. Not like Midnighter's cheating, but like maybe they're open or like whatever, and they're all hanging out. But like them doing hijinks together.
I love that.
So sometimes hooking up. That's what
I love the idea of like Tim Drake comes out to his brother, to Dick Grayson, and Dick's like, you're gay? Who hasn't done that? And everyone in the room just looks at him like
it's like, wait, do you watch What We Do in the Shadows?
Yes.
The coming out episode of the Guillermo when Najee at the end like everyone's gay, and he's like, no, everyone's not gay. She's like, yes, they are.
100%.
And I was like, I agree with her.
That's Dick Grayson.
True story.
And everyone's like, Dick, do you need to like talk about something here? I love it. A+.
Yeah,
thank you.
That's the story we need.
I appreciate the support for my non-existent story.
It's good. I'm buying an issue right now of your non-existent story. I gotta ask. We gotta cover Midnighter on the show at some point. Do you want to come back and talk about it?
I would love to. I still have. Wait, I have props. Hold on.
Shut up. This is
because they just fell off my shelf and they've been sitting right next to me. My Midnighter and Apollo figures from like forever ago.
Oh my god,
obsessed with the Authority.
Yes, TJ, write it down.
I will put it on our spreadsheet.
Thank you. I've been trying to force TJ to constantly to finish that run. You haven't finished it yet, have you?
I think I did.
Finally finish it?
It's so good.
I did a while ago. I read the first one, and then I read the second volume, and then I read Midnighter and Apollo.
Okay, so you did finish it. Good job.
I did. I slowly went. I like each one got weaker for me though. So like,
I
don't want to be that guy.
I did not read Midnighter and Apollo. I didn't.
Chris loves it.
I love Midnighter and Apollo.
Yeah,
it was fine. Yeah. It was fine for me.
Look,
but this is why I need to read it again.
Sometimes true love is going to the depths of hell for your man. I'm just saying.
Oh yeah. There's a line in that book. It's like it's similar to the ass line where it's like, I know the back of that head. Like I know the back of his head.
Did you both read Authority? Like where
I've read some. I need to do a deep dive onto the Authority.
I was fucking obsessed, like so obsessed with that comic because it was like, I mean, you know, now this isn't that like edgy, but like back then it was like
subversive,
violent, had a queer couple, like that was like the characters died a lot, like that was such a big deal.
Yeah.
Like I remember, I might be, in case I'm correct, everyone, I'm gonna put a little asterisk, but I think I remember the first time they like come out is they kiss.
Yeah.
Like when one of them.
I think you're right.
Yeah. And I remember being like. Like we have gay superheroes and they're like two of the strongest people on this team. Holy fuck. I was like,
I love it.
It was great. So yeah.
And supposedly they're making a movie. So like they
yeah,
better be in it.
They're supposed to be. They're on the roster.
Better be. All right, Nick is tuning us out.
Authority movie?
Yeah. James Gunn.
Yeah, James Gunn himself.
Wait, I would love that. I have faith in him. I'm sorry. I know if you're tuning out.
Nick is like, I have no idea what this is.
Edit all these motherfuckers out.
You do you. I'm here.
Midnighter is gay Batman, Nick.
He is gay Batman. That's the whole concept of him, basically.
And his husband's gay Superman.
It's so good. I love that. Love it.
And it sounds like it would be silly, but it's not done in a like mocking.
It's so good. It's so hot. It's so good. And it's so brilliant. And it's very subversive and they hate capitalism and I love them.
Well, on that note, Nick, where can our listeners find you on social media? And do you have any projects or exciting things happening you would like to plug?
Tell them where they can see your gardening and your twerking.
Yes.
You can find me on both TikTok and Instagram as Foraged Gardener. I just hit 1,000 followers on TikTok, so I can go live now. That's kind of gonna take up my life. So that's my new project is going live. I'll be in the garden. So
he's made 5 cents.
I've made a whole 5 cents.
Yeah, you have.
Sugar daddy.
More than we've ever made on this podcast.
So. What are you gonna buy me with that 5 cents?
It goes in the jar for later. And send me your gardening questions. I love answering them.
Ooh, yes.
You have a website too, don't you?
I do. It's a Wix site. The link is in my TikTok bio. All of my important other links are in there. And I do have a beginner's gardener PDF file. It's a little book. It's absolutely free. It's in my TikTok bio. Just gives a little beginner's gardener tips if you want to start a garden at home.
Yay. And Ian, where can our listeners find you and what do you have coming up?
I guess when this is out, my podcast Slayerfest 98 would have started Angel season 2 coverage. Very excited to get back into it and recording. You can find us at Slayerfest X98 on all social media platforms, and you can find us on any podcasting platforms, Spotify, YouTube, Apple Podcasts, and anywhere else you get your podcasts. Same thing with my horror podcast, My Bloody Judy. We are at My Bloody Judy on all social media platforms. And we just cover, like, we just finished our Yellow Jackets coverage. And then we just do like random other recordings. We like, usually Zach and I will pick like the week before and be like, yeah, let's do this. Or like, you know, we recently did a episode on like Final Boys. So yeah.
So cool.
And then if you want to find me, I'm at Ian X Carlos on social media.
And you're a really fun follow, so
do it. You want to.
It's a lot of depressing tweets.
And I'm so excited for your Angel coverage. That those opening credits you posted were crazy.
They're cute, right? Trevor did them.
So
I love
good.
them.
That was amazing. Well, anyway, until next time for both of you, because we definitely want you both back. See you next time.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Thank you for listening to this episode of Gotham Outsiders. You can find me, Chris, at Linktree/The Myth of Psyche, where you can find all of my social media, where I'm on Instagram, Blue Sky, Twitter, and all the various places. You can also find all of my other projects where I'm writing and the other podcasts I host, including Thirsty on Tune, which I host with my friend Bronwyn, where we talk about independent projects like books and webtoons, and on the Talking Comics podcast, where I am also a host now. And where can they find you, TJ?
You can find me at TroyFin2 on most social media platforms like Twitter, Blue Sky, Instagram, Threads, a lot. You can find me talking a lot about books, gay things, gay books, and I am a librarian in my professional time and for fun sometimes. So please hit me up if you want a good book recommendation or you have one for me.
And where can our listeners find you, Mark?
You can find me on Twitter and Instagram at I am El Diablito, and also on Sunday evenings with the Broaxium crew. Show is called Shooting the Poodoo. We are on at 6 p.m. PST, 9 p.m. EST.
And you can find us all on social media at Gotham Outsiders on Twitter, Instagram, and Blue Sky. So thank you for listening, and join us next time. Same bat time, same bat place.